Explained by the Billy Meier contacts, mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more, compiled by David Chance, revised July 2, 2025.
Future Earth Humans Part 6. See also Gilgamesh. See also Hyperborea, Hyperboreans. See also Ica Stones. See also Longskulls. See also Men in Black. See also Nazca Lines. See also Nokodemion. See also Ptah. See also Quetzalcoatl. See also Rods. See also Starchild Skull. See also Teos Caves Metal Library. See also Tunguska Event 1908. See also UFOs Flying Saucers.
Contact Report 66.
I am so happy.
Where do you want to put this fuzzy bear? Present from Herbert Runkel. Do you not have any things of this kind yourself?
He shall remain here in the ship as a constant reminder of the solidarity and the certainty that we also have love and good friends on the earth.
Okay, and what about my second question?
Oh yes, no, we do not have things like that.
The question whether you also have a certain symbol for era and that you draw it.
Sure, we have a symbol for Era, like for all the other planets and the stars. Sure, now look here. So, you see, this is the symbol for Era.
But tell me, I find this sign quite strange. It has so much in common with those symbol signs we have for our planets and the sun. How is that possible? And above all, what does this sign mean?
I already explained to you that your planetary and celestial symbols trace back to our ancestors, who made them according to the vibration and radiation values of the individual planets and the relevant celestial bodies. In other words, this means that the signs were made according to the individual celestial and planetary state of evolution, so that each individual sign records the state of evolution or the level of evolution of the respective celestial body and planet. This is also true for Era, my home planet, whose signs are composed of various ancient symbols of our ancestors. That is to say, the same signs that were used for the stars, the galaxy central sun and your sun, as well as for the planets of the Sol system, and are now common again with you, except for the symbol of the galactic central sun. The lying form of our symbol now represents the middle between above and below, the balanced. Note: a further explanation by Martin Sorgi of the symbol for planet Era can be found in Contact Report 66. See also planet symbols. The generating of jealous possession thinking depends exclusively on the form of the level of consciousness and on the emotions. It is universally uniform and thus not earthbound, whereby I would like to emphasize, however, that on Era these lower levels of consciousness no longer exist, and jealousy is no longer known to our people, or, as I better can explain, no longer pertains, because in earlier times our peoples also had to go through these stages.
How do you think about marriage? Is there then a right to the partner?
If two people join together to form a marriage bond, this does not mean a taking possession of the partner, but simply that they join together in a bond. So there are no rights of ownership, but only love, understanding, and joy in the pleasure of the other. Each partner remains completely free in his or her own actions and in allowing the laws and recommendations to be fulfilled. While in purely conjugal actions and letting things be, as in decisions, etc., one acts in mutual agreement with all interests. In the fulfillment of the laws and recommendations in an evaluative sense, and in every respect concerning this, mutual clarifications and agreements are necessary, which is given by certain rules of order. I, like my people, are human beings like your Earth humans. We also have feelings and fine spiritual perceptions such as love, friendship, sympathies, and antipathies, just as they are also characteristic of you Earth humans. In certain respects, however, they are much finer than with you, more sensitive and more profound. Over the past centuries, this has led us to exercise too much control over them and to learn to encapsulate our feelings. We assumed that we had to do this to protect ourselves from those more advanced. This is because in the course of the evolution, all fine spiritual perceptions and feelings refine and therefore require more intensive control in the higher realms. This intensification expands in the same measure as the entire concomitant material development and proves everything worthy that can be grasped. Thus also, the love and the desire to be together with others of equal evolution becomes more and more pronounced. But also the less developed are considered equally because simply the desire for them inexorably occurs. So these feelings are not replaced by knowledge and intellectual activity, but result from them. These feelings can only be created and brought to bear through knowledge and the activity of the intellect. Therefore, it is also not the case that certain tasks cause a change in the feeling realms, because since these are highly developed and controlled, they cannot be classified as changes other than those of further evolution. However, this is different with the Earth human, whose development in these areas is still rather low, and why he or she can be influenced by fields of activity, after which, for example, with a prison guard, aggressive changes of feeling appear. We made the mistake of controlling our feelings too much, which meant that we made analyses according to pure probability values. This was wrong, which we realized very soon after your acquaintance, you, who often lets yourself be guided only by your feelings. This showed that it was wrong to encapsulate our feelings from more profoundly developed intelligences through an all-too-tight control, which is why this damage was repaired in the course of the last year. It was already clear from this that the blocking of the feelings expanded and began to have an effect in one's own ranks. So we found our way back, through you, in time, and were able to correct the evil in a few months, before an evolutionary blockade of feelings would have certainly appeared, as is the case with other peoples.
You mean with those who belong to your cosmic federation?
No, that is not the case. These phenomena do not exist among our peoples and races. The people of Era are the most developed in the Federation, and are therefore the most advanced in these matters. A comprehensive council decision has averted the evil, whereby attention will be paid in the future also to the fact that still more lower developed peoples and races do not make the same mistake. I therefore speak of alien races and peoples, alien to us, in the vast universe.
Aha, and what about the question here about passion, etc.?
Depending on the state of evolution of the consciousness, these concerns also change, because as a rule, passions, sobriety, and coolness are based on the consciousness-based level of evolution, since they are special character traits of a certain development. So also among our peoples and races, there are enormous differences in this respect, as it is also the case on the Earth. In this respect, the Arans are also ever fundamentally different among themselves, because passions and similar phenomena only diminish with the dissolution of the physical body. Only that, exactly, these become more and more refined, depending on the higher development of the consciousness realm, as long as it is still present, however, as well as the physical body still exists. With us, however, the passions are no longer to be found in the form in which they are still deeply and wildly anchored in you Earth humans.
That is to be understood. We are still the barbarians after all. But after your statement, I would now like to conclude that on average, you Arans are still quite the same in your emotions as we barbarians, even if everything is refined and sensitized in you, right?
Certainly. What is correct is that through the discussion and explanation of these things, more understanding is created for the fact that we Aryans are human beings, like their terrestrial counterparts. Furthermore, I have to inform you that recently more and more extraterrestrial intelligences are sending robot and android manned ships to the Earth in order to be expeditionally active here. This has been the case for many years now, but this activity is currently being greatly increased, and Earth humans are often used as experimental and test objects.
Contact Report 69.
As I once explained to you, the last decisive settlement of the Earth by extraterrestrial intelligences took place about 13,500 Earth years ago. Note: see Easter Island, Maui.
I should not have asked you about it. You seem to be somber now.
Your question, once again, made it very clear to me how little we know despite our enormous knowledge.
Wednesday morning you sent me out at 0023 hours to look at something that had gone down at a certain place. 3 of us found a track in the snow in a clearing in the woods, which obviously had to come from a ship. The snow had melted within a radius of about 3.50 meters, with 4 points outside the circle pointing to landing supports or something similar. To our astonishment, we also found a lot of small footprints, not more than 23 centimeters long, leading from the ship's tracks to a small pond, back to the ship's tracks, and then to another water pond, where the same small footprints then also led into the forest and back again to the ship's tracks. The craziest thing, however, was that we found 2 such footprints in the middle of the snow, about 100 meters away from the ship's track, without another trail leading there. It just seemed as if someone had flown through the air and only stepped into the snow quickly for 2 steps.
These visitors are very small people, only 110 centimeters tall, 3.6 feet. They inhabit a small planetary world in a galaxy that was previously unknown to us. They came to Earth by an involuntary time shift, by a faulty manipulation of their still insufficient space technology. Equipped as an expedition ship, it is commanded by scientists, one of whom went out of the ship to fetch plants, ice and water from the water points you mentioned to analyze them, while another went into the forest to collect material there as well. Meanwhile, a third one, moving with a hovering device, secured the surroundings to be safe from unforeseen surprises. Due to an accident, however, he once hovered too close above the ground, leaving the 2 footprints you had found.
Oh, that is how it is. But where are these dwarves now? Can they even go back to their homeland? You said that they came here because of a time difference, just because of an unwanted one. That does mean that they have been thrown out of their own time, right?
Sure, but they will find their homeland again, because Father brings them back to their time and to their homeworld through a leap in time. But this still offers some difficulties, because we still have no information about their home galaxy, which is why we first have to work out the coordinates.
Then good luck. But tell me, why and at what time did these dwarves land in that forest?
They landed there because a small impulse transmitter of ours is installed very close to that place, which serves as orientation for our telemeter ships. They registered these impulses and subsequently descended there,